Hello folks, Will Snyder here with WeediaBuzz. Michael Weisser, former congressional candidate and the former executive director for Safer Arizona, agreed to join us on the show today to share his thoughts about the 2016 legislation, about why he and Safer Arizona parted ways, and why he chose to back the MPP-sponsored Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol initiative. Mr. Weisser, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Michael Weisser. I used to be with Safer Arizona. I'm a political activist on marijuana reform. I've been a marijuana smoker since I was a teen runaway. I ran away from military school when I was 18 and ended up on the road for a couple of years. It was a piece of my life early on, and then I moved to Arizona later in life, became a school teacher, pretty much put down marijuana, and then when my first wife died, my minister handed me a joint to say that it would help me with my emotional recovery, and I've been an advocate for it ever since. Really, my first wife had died from an overdose of hydrocodone, among other things. She spent the last several years as a hydrocodone addict, and I felt really bad for that. And I'm glad that that marijuana provides me with pain relief, because I qualify for a back injury. I got involved in the politics of this after being a political writer for 25 years, political activist. I was the disorganizer of our Occupy movement in the Kingman area. And in that role, somebody asked if I would run for Congress. When I said yes, I didn't want to have a Michael Phelps moment. So I got one of these green cards and found that well, it's a massive issue with a vacuum of traditional political activism. It was too few people working on this issue that was A, winnable, and B, super important. So I was eventually recruited by Safer Arizona to become their legislative liaison about 3 weeks after the organization was founded in March of 2013.
What led to your departure from Safer Arizona?
MPP is legendary at being difficult to negotiate with. And you know, I was representing the activists, and the activists had a sour taste in their mouth from 2010's MPP campaign, which was fraught with turmoil.
Is that Prop 203?
Prop 203. And though, you know, the current wave of staff issued straight up apologies to everybody and are different people, that perception stayed among the public, and when the citizens didn't get all the components that they were asking for, I was satisfied that we got enough of what we were asking for. We had committed to 3 specific things that we had to get to agree to MPP's ballot measure, and that was personal cultivation rights, small business opportunity, and protections like custody protection, licensure protection, these kinds of things. So there was enough of what we wanted, in particular the personal cultivation and small business opportunity, that I felt like it was going to be the combination of things that Arizona would vote for. I've been in politics in an offhanded way since 1988. And as a party member for a dozen years, as a congressional candidate twice. So I really felt like I had a good handle on what Arizona will and won't do, what the reality of politics are. Other people who wanted more than we had gotten and would not accept my version of reality, that it takes a Goliath to make marijuana legal. MPP is a Goliath. As long as you can keep them on your side, work with them, you know? They've won 8 of their last 11 campaigns, so work with them.
One of the big sticking points for the AZFMR folks, I think, is they felt that the decriminalization language didn't go deep enough. What is your feeling about that? I mean, do you feel that continuing to hand down heavy criminal penalties above a certain threshold, even after legalization, still encourages aggressive marijuana law enforcement?
Well, yes. I believe that the idea of law is to create culture. Right now we have laws in this state, in particular thanks to Evan Meacham back in the 80s, which make marijuana a horrendous crime. People get punished more for possessing like 10 pounds of marijuana with intent to distribute than for rape and murder. And so this is skewed. By changing these laws to where everybody can have some marijuana, everybody can grow some marijuana. Normal is giving people permission to have marijuana. I feel like that's going to change the thrust of law enforcement. And the component of the Department of Marijuana that is designed to pursue violators, similar to what's going on in Colorado right now. They have a Department of Marijuana, Department of Marijuana Enforcement. They're not going to be looking for stumble-bum backyard moms. They're looking for businessmen who have the opportunity to enter the market and chose to flaunt that law. So I would rather see this as compliance issues. In fact, that was in some of the language that I submitted. I didn't get that. But I definitely don't want to empower the guy that's going to try to circumvent the tax and regulate structure. I've been working on political change for a long time, and one of the things that's often just heartbreaking is when you see new legislation written, like the Dodd-Frank Amendment, for example. And it's a great idea, and by the time that the sausage making is done, there's all these loopholes for people's friends to exploit. I didn't want to create something that had loopholes for my friends to exploit.
Do you see the Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol initiative as a job creator, or is there any truth to it creating some kind of a monopoly, as some folks have been reporting out there?
I would be happy to address that, because that's one of the pieces of propaganda that was being thrown forward against the MPP ballot measure, and I thought that was unjust. In fact, part of the reason that there was a split between the dispensaries and MPP is MPP's intention with this language is to break apart the existing vertical monopolies that the AMMA created. Right now, if a person got a dispensary license in Arizona, they would have a vertical monopoly of all marijuana activity in a certain geographic area. These geographic areas are called CHAWs, that's Community Health Assessment Areas. There's 126 in the state, 88 are active, and within those 88 regions, the licensee can cultivate marijuana, distribute marijuana, manufacture marijuana, test marijuana, and have a retail outlet to sell it. Now, that's really good for the existing industry. MPP's ballot measure, and they fought long and hard with the dispensaries, breaks those into 5 discrete licenses. So that means the dispensaries get first access because they are already in business and they've been creating this and they already have experience in the field. Like, I'd rather have a doctor take over a specialty if it was opened up to the larger group. But the people in general can apply for all those licenses. Now, there's 88 functioning dispensaries in the state right now. The approximate number of retail licenses in MPPs is about 150. It's a tenth of the liquor stores in the state to start with. And then that will adjust according to market needs. Remember, the legal market's got about this much of this overall market, so that's going to have to adjust accordingly in increments that don't scare off the general public. Watch my lips. Pot shop on every corner. Is that a scary statement or what? Reefer madness. That's the kind of thing that people would say if suddenly there was a pot shop on every corner? So MPPs is designed to break up the existing monopoly and to gradually give Arizona a chance to realize who all's going to come out of the closet. I mean, remember, if 60,000 of us have cards and there's 600,000 smokers, there's a lot of folks that are going to have major lifestyle changes, and we don't want to just, throw everybody in a tizzy as this transition occurs.
Mr. Weisser, I know you have to run, and I really appreciate your time. Any final thoughts for us?
Yeah, I like to talk about culture. I wear this pin on my shirt. It's Howard Zinn. He's a historian that was one of the first to bring forward scandals and shames and the bad things that our country has done. I believe that a country, like a family, is jeopardized by its secrets of misbehavior. And that's often used to exploit the public. We create, like Nixon, creating secrets, creating counterintelligence to destroy the will of the people. Well, we've had generations that have been brought up in a reefer madness propaganda culture. Within a few generations, regular Greeks went from regular Greek life to Sparta, and think how crazy Sparta must have been. Well, we could create any kind of culture that's normal, especially if we have a couple of generations going, and normal right now says that about 35 million people have to look over their shoulder all the time because their government's after them. Right now, normal says that black neighborhoods, that Hispanic neighborhoods, that ethnic neighborhoods have tremendous greater risk from the law because they're drug areas. So we have, what could be institutional racism reinforced in drug policy. So there's another thing that's ruined from this prohibition. I personally enjoy marijuana, there's no disputing that. But this isn't about me getting access. This is about how do I change the lives for 35 million people in my country at once. As a congressional candidate, I was looking out for the lives of like 700,000, and that was really important. But if we can change such a fundamental thing, it's like putting in roads. It's like invention of clean water. We don't even know the scope of how society will improve when people can better trust their government not to be the enemy. And that's what prohibition has caused. So that's what got me going. And that's why I still fight.
Michael Weisser, folks. Well, we have a bit more perspective on the competing initiatives. Mr. Weisser clearly sided with the MPP-backed initiative, and I know the folks would like to learn a bit more about the AZFMR's position. I'm sure we'll be talking to them again as well soon. WeediaBuzz will continue to follow this story and provide updates as we get them. By the way, WeediaBuzz is working on a patient profile series. If you're a medical marijuana patient and would like to share your story about how cannabis has helped you or not helped you, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. That's all for tonight, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, have a good night.